What time is it?
It's Morphin time!
Hello, devoted geeks and listeners with attitude, and welcome to a special Extra Tuesday edition of Geek Devotions. I'm Nathan Marchand, the host of such podcasts as the Monster Island Film Vault, a fellow member of the Culture Box Network, Henshin Power V3, another member of the Culture Box Network, and most relevant to today's topic, the Power Trip, a journey through the Power Rangers franchise, which I co-host with Michael Hamilton. So, Dallas asked me to count down my top four, Power Ranger seasons, which is a tough thing to do because there are 30 of them. Yes, I know, 30 of them. You may have not even known that it went that long, but there are 30 of them to pick from. Well, 30 seasons to be more exact. So, because of that, having seen all of it, yes, I have seen all of Power Rangers. And boy, sometimes it was great, sometimes it was not so great. But anyway, we're going to be talking about the good ones today. I will be including a few honorable mentions because I can't help myself. There's a lot of great stuff to go around in this franchise. And because we love physical media around here, or at the very least, I do, I will be showcasing each of these particular seasons using their DVDs because we need DVD power now! All right, let's start off the honorable mentions here. And yes, I have to bring this up. Come on. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the OG, the original. Without this, regardless of whether people love it or hate it, without this, we wouldn't have everything else that came to us in this franchise. I hate to break it to you, but it is simply a fact. You need to learn to deal with that. But all of that being said, I will confess, not everything in MMPR is top tier, but this was Power Rangers at its peak. But I will say there are certain episodes that definitely deserve the S tier label, one of them being the iconic Green with Evil. And my next honorable mention, kind of along the same lines, would be Power Rangers Dino Thunder, which in many ways is the spiritual successor, or even a spiritual remake, you could say, of MMPR. It even brings back the iconic Green Ranger himself, and White Ranger for that matter, Tommy Oliver, played by the late great Jason David Frank. We call him JDF around here. He came back for this, and as a mentor, as a teacher, with 3 new high school kids and 1 more who came along later. There's some great stories in this. You even get to see Tommy roundhouse kick a T-Rex. Let's see Chuck Norris do that. Did Chuck Norris ever do that? I think not, as far as I know anyway, in official media. And there's this one amazing episode where Tommy confronts most of his past Ranger identities. It's an episode called Fighting Spirit. I highly recommend it. And finally, with my honorable mentions, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Yeah, so this was the first series to pick up from the one that saved the franchise. I'm going to say it that way because reasons. You'll find out later. And it was the first one to fully embrace the Sentai model of, just using a new team with new characters, new actors every season. And it also made some bold moves. It made some unprecedented choices in this, such as, spoiler warning, killing a Ranger and bringing in my favorite pinch hitter as her replacement. And there's also amazing characters like their 6th Ranger, the Magna Defender. And this series, as far as I care, has the gold standard of crossover episodes with To the 10th Power and The Power of Pink. It's a 2-parter. My gosh, is it epic. All right, and now we come to a proper top 4 and true Rushmore show fashion, starting with SPD Emergency. Power Rangers SPD. You wouldn't think this would be one of those top tier seasons for me, but boy, howdy, is it. I am a massive, massive fan of this one, and I wasn't expecting to be. This is a Power Ranger season where the Rangers are cops. It seems like the most obvious thing to do with Power Rangers, but they finally went and did it in this one. And it tackles some surprisingly mature themes like racism and trauma, particularly with our red and blue Rangers here, who are named Jack and Sky. And it's notable for Jack being, no, he's not the first black guy to be a Red Ranger and a team leader, but but I digress. Regardless, they tackle some really big things with this because Sky goes on a character arc. He's a jerk when it starts off. He is very prejudicial, possibly racist, but he comes to respect Jack, who, even though he's a criminal and got to be the Red Ranger over him, as the season progresses and they work with each other more and more, he softens and he grows, and it's amazing. So if you don't like Sky at the beginning of the show, don't quit, stick with it. He will be a vastly different character by the end. And I absolutely love it. This is also the one that, it wasn't the first Power Rangers series to do that, but if you know what I'm talking about, we have the Kalish explosions, which isn't really, Kalish's fault. He was a writer and producer on the show, and they blame him for it, but it really wasn't him. That was Koichi Sakamoto, who choreographed all the action scenes, particularly with the explosions. That's where you get the kind of the, we'll say, cliche of the explosions going off behind the Rangers as they morph. Like I said, it was a thing before that, but it started getting noticeably used more around this time. But what makes this season as S-tier, as great as it is a guy named Anubis Doggy Kruger. Yes, the alien dog man, who might be the most awesome character, at least in the top 5 most awesome characters in Power Rangers. He is the Shadow Ranger. You would not think that you see this design and you would think this guy is going to be amazing. No, you think that it's just going to be a bunch of lame, obvious dog jokes. No, they don't go there. They're way more dignified than that. And my gosh, he's both a mentor and a 6th Ranger. I love the design of the Shadow Ranger to death. It's one of the action figures that I have on my shelf. And there is an episode when it's called Shadow, and this is in part 2, where he literally takes on and defeats 100 guys after saying, I'm going to take out all 100 of you. And the show bothers to put a countdown on there to keep track of all of the guys he takes out, just to prove he actually does it. Amazing. Coming in at number 3, Time Force. Yeah, this is a time travel Power Rangers series. Sort of. There's not as much time travel in this as you would expect. And sometimes they cheat a little bit, but there is still some time travel happening. And most of our Rangers are actually from 1,000 years in the future, trying to catch mutant criminals who escaped into the past. And then they meet a rich kid named Wes in the present, who looks exactly like their old team leader who died in the first episode. Crazy. This was when, this was coming at this was basically, for all intents and purposes, as far as I care, was the end of the original Saban era. So that era that started with Mighty Morphin. And this is not the franchise at its popularity peak, but this might be the peak of Power Rangers in that era in terms of its writing, because my gosh, they did some crazy things in this that you would not expect. We have some amazing characters in this. We have our first Pink Ranger as the leader in this one, in Jen Scott's. I mean, yes, Wes is the Red Ranger, and he's more or less the protagonist, we'll say, but it's really Jen who's the team leader in this. We have an amazing 6th Ranger with Eric Myers, who is the Quantum Ranger, and he's arguably an anti-hero. Who would have thought? My gosh, an anti-hero Power Ranger? So he's not always helping out. He's not always helpful. Sometimes he begrudgingly assists the Rangers. And then we have an incredible villain with Rancic, who was played by a guy who was in Hollywood movies. He was hanging out with the likes of Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando and Mel Gibson in The Road Warrior or Mad Max 2, whichever you prefer. Like, there is so much pedigree in this because they made the decision to use actual actors and not just simply stunt performers, martial artists, dancers, whatever. They found real actors to play these characters. So the acting is taken up a notch. The writing goes up a notch. It's surprisingly dark, has heavy themes dealing with racism, prejudice, identity, but it's balanced with some hilariously funny episodes, like a two-parter called Movie Madness, which is when they kind of cheat a little bit, with making you think that it's time travel, but it's not. It's a more like another dimension where movies are real. And I will not spoil the incredibly subversive ending in this. This has probably the most atypical Power Rangers finale you will ever see. My jaw hit the floor the first time I watched this because I was not expecting this. So, highly recommend it. All right, it was tough to pick my top two because I love all of these particular seasons of Power Rangers, but after some deliberation, I made a decision and one beat out the other one by a very slim margin. So let's not beat around the bush. Let's get to it. RPM! Get in gear! This is my dark horse pick. I don't know a lot of people in Ranger Nation, the Power Ranger fandom, who like this as much as I do. And those who do like this like it as much as me. This is, like I said, this is probably the most atypical Power Ranger season you will ever see, especially if you look at the Sentai, the Super Sentai that they got the fight footage and special effects footage from. It is night and day, polar opposite. This is post-apocalyptic. As soon as you start the show, the bad guys have already won. Venjix, he's already, before it even starts, he's won. So this is equal parts Mad Max and a Terminator. This was at a point where they were taking big swings with the franchise. This is the darkest and the most mature Power Ranger TV series. There are people who die and they stay dead, and there are consequences for it. And don't even get me started on their mentor, this eccentric lady scientist named Dr. K. Her backstory, oh my gosh. One of the darkest things in the entire franchise. I am amazed what they were able to do on a quote-unquote kid show with this. But what makes this even more amazing is that it's balanced out with some self-aware humor. So it's incredibly dark, but it's also the show poking fun at itself, poking fun at the tropes of Power Rangers and Tokusatsu. And it's hilarious. Like, there's the two best moments I can think of with that one. Well, one of them. I'll talk about one of them. Is you have this really great one. No, I'll talk about two. You have this really great one where they ask, why are the googly eyes on the car Zords that they have? And Dr. K goes on a tirade about it. Oh, and then there's the bit about, it's like, oh, we're all wearing spandex. And he's like, it's not spandex. And she goes crazy about that because she invented all of this stuff. So, and then there is even an episode where the Blue Ranger figures out that he can use the explosions that go off behind him when he morphs to take out the bad guys. And no one has done this before or since. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And we have great heroes. We have amazing villains, amazing in their simplicity, complex characters, more complex than you would expect. I adore this show. And because I know you're thinking it, listeners with attitude, yes, another reason to love the show is I'm Scottish. There, I had to use a picture to avoid copyright claims. All right. If you know me or you've listened to my podcast, you already know what number 1 is. I'm not even going to play coy about it. Not at all. Okay, let's just do this. Let's rock it. All right, Power Rangers in space. Seriously, you knew this was coming. This is basically Star Trek with superheroes. It pulled out, all the stops. They thought this was going to be the last season, so they just decided to go nuts. And the main reason that I put this over RPM is this saved the franchise. The ratings were dropping after Power Rangers Turbo, but then this took what went wrong in Turbo and the bits of Turbo that were actually good, namely the second set of characters that they brought in, made them better, and then brought in some amazing new characters, such as their Red Ranger, Andros. The writing gets taken up a notch. It's more serious, gets a bit darker, and it has the most epic finale that you will see, because it was supposed to be the end. The only thing that I can count against Countdown to Destruction, which was the finale, was that it was supposed to be a 3-parter and they cut it down to 2 because they just ran out of budget. And this has another thing that really elevates this show and why the writing is as good as it is one of those big swings. This has some of the best villains in all of Power Rangers. Yes, Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed will always be icons, but some of the best villains in the franchise are here. You have the Honorable Ecliptor, the despicable and kind of horrifying Darkonda, and yes, Blue Wigs and Black Leather. Are you happy? Okay? I hope you're happy, listeners with attitude. I admit it. Astronema, my tokusatsu crush. Are you happy now? I hope you're happy now. And she comes back in Lost Galaxy as a Pink Ranger to complete her redemption story, because she is one of the villains. She's the first villain to truly get, main villains, I should say, to truly get a redemption arc. And that gives her character a ton of nuance. It's very Star Wars-esque for reasons that I won't spoil. But no, it's very, very Star Wars-esque. Star Wars was also a big influence on this. So, Power Rangers in space, when I started getting back into the franchise, this was the one I started with because I used a character from this in my podcast. So I decided to go there, and I was not disappointed. The early episodes, bumped my mic. I'm going to keep going anyway. The early episodes are a little bit more typical Power Rangers, but after that, it goes crazy, and it's unlike anything you've seen in the franchise. All right. Do you agree with my list? What are your favorite Power Rangers seasons? Sound off in the comments. I'd love to hear which ones are yours. There's a lot of good ones I could have picked from, but for the sake of time, I didn't. And if you want to get more details about my opinions on all of these and the rest of the franchise and all of its peaks and valleys, go listen to The Power Trip, A Journey Through the Power Rangers franchise, which is going to have an epilogue episode, hopefully in the next couple of weeks after this gets published, where my co-host Michael and I will be discussing Legend of the White Dragon, the final performance of JDF, and it's basically Power Rangers in all but name. And despite all the drama surrounding the production of that thing, we're really excited to see it and a podcast about it. So, thanks once again for joining me on this special episode. And remember, stay devoted, and may the power protect you.